Hey there, it's Kimberly here with Knit for Brains, and today we're not going to be showing just some granny squares we got in, but I want to show you some of the finished blankets that we've done, so stay tuned. We're back, and you know we've been back, but y'all were like, oh my god, you still have COVID, so I have to tell you, I'm really sorry about that. I did have COVID, and it lasted about a week, and then I got better. But the problem is that I wasn't sure where my energy levels were or how sick I was going to get. So I recorded a bunch of videos like one day, and then I just blew my wad, and then I didn't do any more. So those videos, it took a while for them to come because we had some technical issues going on with the Brit and the stuff that he does. So they didn't get to come out on a timely manner. So you guys are thinking I had COVID for like 3 weeks. I didn't. I didn't have COVID for 3 weeks, and I'm totally better. But we're back. We got some more granny squares. I wanted to show you what we got, but I wanted to show you like what we're doing. Mumsy and I have been working like fiends to get these things done. So let's show the squares that we got first off. Okay. So this first box that we got in, I just have to be honest with you. These actually came from a really, really good friend of mine. Such a good friend of mine that we actually traveled together. We're going to be going on a road trip together in a couple weeks, and it's going to be with my Miss Diane. She's probably one of my very dearest, best friends. And not only has she sent in one box of granny squares, but this is her second box of granny squares. I'm getting some repeats now, people. So y'all are just going bananas. But these come from Diane from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Thank you, Diane. And they came all nice and neat, packed up in a box. Like this box was like made for these squares, right? And I love them. They're absolutely beautiful. Look at some of these colors, like these super bright colors, and they're all variegated. It's reds and greens and purples and golds and beautiful. So I think we got enough in here to make a full blanket. So we got some pinks going on, and then these really pretty ruby or raspberry. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, which means there's probably 40 of them here in this box. We can make a blanket with like 42, and she sent more in as well. And then these guys here, so then there's some creams here. There's some beautiful blues and greens. I don't know what yarns these are, but I love them. But I'll just have to ask her because I'll be seeing her shortly. And these guys, so you know, when they come in, they look like this. I'm just sewing these together. Like some I do have to mix and match, which I'll show you what I did. But these are just like kind of one-stop shop, and you just go ahead and sew them all together. Aren't they gorgeous? I love these colors. I think one of the hardest things that Mumsy and I are finding is we're like, oh, I really like those. I want to keep those. We're not keeping any, just so you know, but some of them, most of them actually were like, oh my god, they're so pretty. Wait till you see the blankets my mother does. She's going bananas. She's having so much fun with these. Look at these. Aren't those pretty? They kind of remind me of like summer. Raspberry sorbets. They're beautiful. Aren't granny squares fun to do? You just like sit, they're just mindless, and you just go through them. I saw an article recently, I think it was with Ella Rose Crochet, and somebody had commented that they hate granny squares. They hate anything having to do with granny squares, and I was like, oh, like, are you kidding? Who hates how could you hate them? I mean, even just the name granny square, how can you hate them? But, you know, everyone's got their own preferences. She hates granny squares, hates the blankets, the sweaters, the cardigans. I was like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't watch my channel because there's a lot of granny squares on this channel. Here's some purples. Beautiful, Diane. Thank you. So this is a friend of mine, and she watches our channel, and she's like, I'm just going to send you some granny squares. I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind. So, and this was her second box, and they come all nice and neatly and packed, and it's just lovely. Little box full of joy right here. So these guys, thank you, Diane. These guys can be put into a blanket. I'm going to go ahead and close up this box, but I want to show you guys because I thought, you know, you're going to be like, are you doing anything with these granny squares? Yes, yes, we are. In fact, we are. As fast as our little hands can go, we're putting these together. The Brit happens to be going out of town this weekend. He's going to be going to visit his kids in Colorado. And so Miss Kimberly, has Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So he leaves on Thursday morning and he comes home Monday afternoon. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to do whatever I want. Not that it's that much different when he's here, but you know, it's a little bit different. You know, what do you want to eat? What can I do? You know, and I have to say, sometimes I feel a little bit guilty sitting on the couch just crocheting, which is what I need to be doing. But sometimes I feel a little bit guilty doing it. So if he comes in, I'm like, oh, I cleaned the kitchen and I cleaned the bathrooms and I did the laundry, and you know, he doesn't care. He truly doesn't care. But sometimes I feel like I just, you know, need to say that. All right. Let's show some blankets that have been done. So first of all, this card stayed with the blanket, and this one came from Pamela, and I'm just going to reread the card. So it says, I'm so happy to be a small part of Project Welcome Home. This spring, I wanted to start a sweater, but I told myself that I had to use up all my scrap yarn first before I could start. Oh, I remember reading this card. So I would sit at night watching TV or sit around the campfire all the time crocheting granny squares with no idea what I was going to do with them. Then you mentioned Project Welcome Home, and I couldn't think of a better way for them to be used. I believe I have a total of 73. Hope this will help someone feel loved. So I remember reading this card. Thank you, Pamela. Here is what you did. So pretty. Now, if there's 73, that means that there's another blanket in here coming through. Here's some little extras. This came from Mumsy, by the way. Mumsy crocheted this one. So here's some little extras. And there was some yarn that either she sent this along or I gave it to Mumsy, one of the two. Anyways, look at this. Oh, it's beautiful. I love the color. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across by 2, 4. Let's see, 5 across by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So she did 45 squares with this one. Look at the colors. It's beautiful. So what my mom is doing, she's kind of doing like a mattress stitch. She's sewing all the squares together, and then she's sewing them together, but she's doing them panel by panel, and then she's adding the sweet little peacoat stitch around the edges. But what's nice about what she's doing, so you can see it's got this really nice defined look here, and you can't really see the yarn on this side, but look at it over here. So it's kind of like, it's beautiful on either side, isn't it? Aren't they gorgeous? She did such a good job. She did such a good job, and this yarn is really soft, and it's just beautiful. So this is a completed blanket. This is, thank you, Pamela and Mumsy. So these guys, this one's ready to go. And so this is the stitch that she likes doing. And she said it's taking her, she thinks she said like 12 to 18 hours or something to do that. So we're putting so much time and love is going into these, you all. It's just incredible. All right, so this one's done. And the card is staying with this blanket. Here's the card here. So this will go with it. I think what I might do is leave this card with it, and then I'll include another card, but at least that way the people can read it and they can see, you know, the sentiment behind the person who made the squares, and then we'll include another card. So it goes in this nice big bag, and then when we're all done, I'm getting some big cellophane bags with red bows, and we're going to wrap them all and take them over to the facility. I'm getting so excited. It's actually coming to fruition. All right, so this guy goes inside here. I'm going to keep these together, but I'm going to see if she did 75 squares, we should have another bag of these somewhere. Okay, they're all over here, so it's not like they're somewhere. They're here. Okay, the next one, and these were sent in, and I remember opening these, and the card is in the box. So I apologize I don't have the card to show you with it. But when these came in, I remember going, I loved the gold and the purple, and I knew I had some yarn that would go perfectly with it. So this is another one that I did. Now I did just the Stitch As You Go granny square squares. Isn't it beautiful? I love the colors. I love the colors. So I have to be honest, this one was enough to do 2 blankets. She sent in enough squares to do 2 blankets. I got excited and I got going. And then I realized that I used too many squares on one of the blankets. I was like, oh no. But that's okay, because they're all, you know, kind of the same size, but they're going to be a little bit different, and that's okay. So this one here is the bigger of the two. Then when I realized what I did is I finished off the row, and then I grabbed a couple from another person, and I added them all in together. Isn't that just beautiful? Isn't it so pretty? And I used the Pound of Love by LionBrand to sew these together, because this felt to me like it was either Pound of Love or Karen Cake. It had that, you know, that weight of 4 feel to it. So what I did on this one is I found these other squares that kind of tied in, pretty much tied in. And then I made another one. So you'll just see a couple little pops of color, like I think this one. There's not too many. Well, maybe not. Oh, like this one. This was one from another person. This was one from another person. That was one from the original. So they all kind of mixed in. But I love it. Isn't it beautiful? And I love how the purple, this is called Thistle, and it is from LionBrand. I love how this color really just kind of brought it all together. I was looking at the gold that she sent in, this last color here, and I thought, that looks like fall to me. And I don't know, I just thought that this color and these went really nice together. And I hope you agree, but I think they go really good together. So, our second, well, actually, no, this is our third Granny Square blanket. So here's two more. Y'all, I'm so excited. I'm getting, you know, as I'm putting these together, you know, when I see these people on a regular basis, just like going, I can't wait to do this with you. All right, then I'm just going to show you a couple of the other blankets that I've showed you these before, but they bear repeating. This was another one that my mom did with the same, somebody sent in all these squares. This was the first one she did. She fell in love with it. This was using the I Love This yarn by Hobbii Lobby. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, love it. And see, again, here she did the hidden stitch on the front, so you really can't see any of the stitches. She did this sweet. The peacoat stitch is my mother's signature stitch. Anytime she does anything, she's always adding a little peacoat stitch. And if you know my mother, peacoat is like her. If you were to take a stitch and then personify it, it would be my mother. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's dainty. It just adds a little bit of flair. It just adds that little bit of zhuzh that everybody needs in their life. This is my mother. We call her, my son calls her Mimi. We call her Mumsy. Her real name is Cheryl. But this little peacoat, that's just her signature stitch. All right. And then what she did here on the back, you can see, isn't that pretty? She used a cream yarn, and it's so nice how it made those stitches just kind of really pop. So loved this one. Isn't it gorgeous? And this yarn gives it a really nice, it just has, it's like some of the yarns just have a really nice drape feel to them. So here is another Project Welcome Home blanket. Oh my God, you guys, I'm having so much fun with this. So if you're just tuning in and you're like, wait, what is this? How can I get involved? What we're looking for are just granny squares. If you want to send in granny squares, typically the blanket, let me grab my measurements here, is going to be about 36 inches by 42. I'm calling it a wheelchair blanket because a lot of these people that are assisted living, they're in either walkers or wheelchairs. I don't want it to be so big that they can't like keep it with them during the day if they want to have it over their lap while they're going into the living room, the community room, or whatever. And so they call this size a wheelchair blanket so it doesn't get stuck down in the sides and possibly get tangled up in the wheels. And it's a lap blanket. We're not talking a huge, huge blanket. So it's 36 inches by 42. That comes out to about 42 6-inch squares. It's 40 to 42. And if we don't have enough, we add an extra border, we add an extra square, we do whatever. But they're all coming in about this size, not terribly big. And we're building 40. We're making 40 of these blankets. And we're going to present them in December, probably mid-December, to this assisted living facility, to the residents of this facility, so that every resident is going to get a blanket in a cellophane bag with a big red bow. It's just a gift to say, you know, we welcome you, we love you, you're thought of, that kind of a thing. Because this population, especially when they move into a facility like this, it can be a little anxiety-ridden for them, you know, like having all of a sudden to live in a community situation. They just feel like they've lost their independence. Nobody cares about them, maybe. You know, they don't feel like they get visitors, whatever it is. But we just don't want them to feel that way. And so we want them to feel loved. So this is another one that I did. Well, I didn't make the squares. I sewed it together. I used the Red Heart Super Saver yarn because what this person did was they did the all-in-one granny squares. So I had the white Super Saver, and so that worked out really nicely. And this one's beautiful. It's a little bit more subtle. And I did the stitch in the back, as you can see here. So I didn't do the granny square join as you go. So each kind of like, as we get the squares, you know, it's sort of like, you look at this is how Mom and I are doing it. We look at the squares and then we kind of decide, are we going to do a matchwork stitch? We're going to do like the, you know, join as you go stitch. What is this blanket? What are these squares calling for? So it's not really like the same stitch each time. This one here, I just did the join and then I stitched them all together. And I did have to make a couple more squares to make this one work, but it worked out beautifully. And I love the colors, the muted, subtle colors that this one brought in. All right, so my mom's working on another one and I'm working on another one. So we have currently 5 completed. And with the 2 that we got going on, we've got 7. So we're on track. I know it doesn't sound like it, but we are on track to finish these. And I've got a lot more sitting over here in bags. So as soon as we're done, I just go through and I grab a bag. If it's a complete square, if it's enough to make a blanket like what Diane sent, then I just go ahead and I make them. Just done. Boom. And then what we have left over are the, you know, the ones that are kind of like, not scraps, but they don't all go together. So we're kind of doing a little mix and match sort of a thing. So that's what we're doing. So we are just plugging along on our project Welcome Home. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Keep sending in those squares because we're still looking for them. I have a big box over here, but I don't know that we're going to have enough to make the full 40. Which is okay. The facility said if you guys are a little bit short, you know, I think there's a retirement home down the way and that they're going to be contributing some blankets if we run short. But I really do try to want to hit that number 40. So if I have to, you know, crochet some squares, I will do that as well. But we're making really, really, really good progress. So just a little quick pop on. That is what we've got for Project Welcome Home. If you want to send in more of those squares, I do have a P.O. box. All the information is going to be here at the bottom. But go ahead and please like that video because that helps us get our ratings up. It helps us get more subscribers and helps us get more granny squares. So please like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, let them know what we're doing. If you got any of those granny squares, you can send them into the P.O. box. It's here at the bottom of the video in the notes. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being there, for hanging in with me and just being who you are and doing this amazing thing and helping us to, you know, brighten up the lives of at least 40 of our senior friends over in our assisted living facility. Thanks so much for watching. This is Kimberly with Knit for Brains. And as always, I'll see you soon.